Peace and love to my people. Y'all alright? Good day today. Positive energy, activate constant elevation. You know what I'm saying? To my people who hearing this message. This meaningful, eye-opening, wake up call knowledge for the sake of entertainment and educational purposes only. You know what I'm saying? Make what I'm saying, make sense, about just topics of what I'm speaking about, dealing with knowledge itself amongst our people, as a community, because after all, they say, which is a true statement that I agree with in terms of knowledge being power. You know what I'm saying? Knowledge is indeed power to our people. You know what I'm saying? And much love to everybody and power to the people. You know what I'm saying? And may you stay out of harm's way out here. And may you be in a certain comfort zone going to and fro in your daily activities and endeavors, having a good day. You know what I'm saying? So for the sake of you having time to listen to what I gotta say, in this transmission right here, positive energy activate constant elevation to you. You know what I'm saying? Peace, love, and light to everybody. Now with that said, right, I am this is another beautiful day, you know what I'm saying, to be productive in and to give thanks to the most high, that you is blessed, you know what I'm saying, to just have a future, you know what I'm saying, to be able to just live and tap into your potential, through and be in your right mind in the process in a world that's full of all kind of mind wars. Now check this out, right? Regarding the conscious community, right? Or regarding black people in general, or people or whatever racial identity that you is. You know what I'm saying? I think, we have been all affected by certain mind manipulation programs for quite some time now, dealing with maybe eons of time. You know what I'm saying? Because by me, just on a day-to-day basis, seeing the constant differences of like of opinion, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? In terms of people having multi-dimensional different views on things where people is not on the same page. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to us, like here in the United States of America, right? You know what I'm saying? We have freedom of speech. We have the freedom of religion that we can practice, that we see fit, that um, meet the needs of our spiritual taste, so to speak. We got, like me, myself in particular, you know what I'm saying? I identify with my spirituality. And I'm open minded, you know what I'm saying, to truth, because truth is truth, no matter where it comes from, right? So as a student, or being someone who study life around me on a day-to-day basis, you know what I'm saying, like here in the environment that I'm in, I see the world through a certain lens where I gotta, play my cards right, you know what I'm saying, regarding the hand I was dealt in a society, you know what I'm saying, that's regulated from a certain power source that we all know as white supremacy or global white supremacy in this era of time. Now, for instance, right, we living in a time to where certain people have ran out of time. Whether you paying attention to what time it is or not, right? Certain people have ran out of time, right? And with that said, right, you have certain people whose time, right, have just begun. Now, in this life, we have to work out our own soul salvation. So with that said, right, who been teaching us right? Or from our own due diligence, what have we found out to be the truth? Because we're living in a world to where people's minds, eyes has been blanketed by certain mind manipulators who have created in this world a system of lies. And those system of lies stand to be the truth in the absence of real truth. So certain forces know the mind can be deceived. The mind can be played with. The mind can be tricked. And also the mind can be properly cultivated. So you have these unseen hand forces who have molded and shaped a society through its criminality or criminal psychology, thought orientation process, to where they have created certain atrocities on the planet, right? To where they have washed their hands. They have washed the blood off their hands as if they haven't did anything wrong. And got people who've been victimized by them, right? To defend their criminality. On top of that, which goes to show you the insanity that a lot of people is in when it comes to them having what's called the Stockholm Syndrome, by them being in love with the people that lie to them. They be in love with the people that abuse them. They be in love with the people that do them wrong, right? To the point where these particular mind influencers, mind deceivers, have created an environment where people is riddled with hatred instead of love. Now, we have something before us in our households called televisions or TVs. Now, we heard the acronym. Television means, when you break it down, is a device that tells lies to your vision, which are pictorial programs that has been programmed by someone other than you, the watcher. So when you watch this programming, the programmer of that program put information in that program for you to be programmed with, in terms of that being a controlled narrative that you, the viewer, has no power or control over, but it affects your psyche, your mind and subconscious mind in a way where it conveys a idea, a message inside your mind as seeds of thought to take into consideration in order for that particular persuasion or influence to blossom and bloom in your real life by you giving energy and putting in the work to bring about a fruition, a blossom and a blooming of, of that particular programming from the television. Now, regarding what you give birth to, from what you have received from the programming of the TV, the television, you made it manifest in real time in the real world, thus giving birth to certain ideas that you didn't come up with from your own mind. So by you living certain ideas in your mind that was not originated by you, but yet majority of your life that you live is a product of ideas that came from someone else other than your own thought creation, means that you have been under the influence of a mind altering program, which goes to show you how the mind can be programmed by external forces other than you programming your own mind from your own organic thought process, to where you get the fullness of living your life based on your terms as an adult. See, there's certain mind manipulation forces that's in place to target the minds of the population with all kind of information and ideas that they put out there for them, for the minds that they target to get hooked on the bait, for the minds to take the bait of the bait that they use to pull your mind into an idea that 9 times out of 10, as social scientists, these people know that due to certain appetites that they have shaped and created within the individual, you know what I'm saying, is a creation on their part that cause you to be a product of their creations as mind masters of the mind, like the term that we use, like the term we use in our daily life, and we would like to think that we are, like the term I'm a mastermind. You know what I'm saying? She a mastermind. He a mastermind. They are masterminds. Or when you use the term I am a mastermind. Are you a mastermind? How is you a mastermind? What do you produce? Or what do you manifest? Or what do you do to show that you are a mastermind, an individual who have a mind of a master? So, say for instance, we have what we know, the entities that we call slave masters. Now, slave masters, they are masterminds at what they do. So when we utilize the term mastermind, are we utilizing that term in a way where we taking after traits of a slave master in terms of how we relate to our fellow man and individuals in our environment where we live? How do we treat people? We in people's lives for positive reasons, or is we in people's lives for manipulation reasons, just to have our way? Or by us manipulating people, is that our means of survival? You know what I'm saying? And when we can be relating to people on genuine levels that's authentic in nature without manipulating them to get by. Because there is a lot of exploitation going on when we sit back and look at certain human conduct and the intentions and psychology in people that cause them to act the way they act in terms of relating to their external environment when it comes to survival. Now we know the term only the strong survive. Yeah, only the fit survive. Yeah, a lot of us, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we have to survive. How is we surviving? Are we surviving living this life rooted in truth? Or are we surviving living this life, you know what I'm saying, through scheming and lying, deceiving, tricking, you know what I'm saying, scamming and fooling people, you know what I'm saying, as a means to getting by? Because you have certain powers that be, they doing just that. Lying and deceiving, tricking people to get by, to maintain a certain status quo, to secure riches for themselves as 10 percenters, concealers of the truth, those who know the truth, but they hide the truth from the 85 percenters, or where you have the 5 percenters who where things dealing with the population of humanity when it comes to the people who appreciate knowledge itself to liberate minds have dwindled down to 1%, where things done got so pretty much just so full of trickery, full of it. The environment is full of trick bags to the point where you have a small number of people, you know what I'm saying, who is out here walking the straight and narrow, articulating certain truth to the masses and the world population, to where it appears like they by themselves doing this, which they not, but you have certain forces at work to put censorships on the voices of truth. But the voices of lies go uncensored to the point where people have accepted the lies for the truth, to the point where they don't know the truth from the lies nowadays, due to all of the optical illusions from the artificial intelligence, through the telephones that people use, the what they call it, the CGI, computer generated images, you know what I'm saying, that's designed to fool the mind, Photoshop, you know what I'm saying, these digital witchcraft image alterations, you know what I'm saying, that make a person who what these particular programs, they'll take a person's voice and image and put them in a bad light and televise it and make it look like that was you doing something, you know what I'm saying, that's disagreeable, when it wasn't you. It was some criminal-minded individual that took your image and made you appear to be doing something, you know what I'm saying, that's distasteful, when it wasn't you, when all along it was just a computer program making it look like it was you doing something that was disagreeable in the eyes of the public. Then you have information wars. You know what I'm saying? Where it seems like can't nobody agree on the collective unification of being in support of a certain idea that represent liberation for us all. Now that takes me to this particular reading material where this brother, you know what I'm saying, in this reading material was articulating certain statements that made sense on one end, right? But then, like different books you can get and read, where this person got their point of view on this way of approaching a certain topic dealing with individual interest in black unification or some kind of unification of all the people on the planet collectively as a whole. Or when you analyze that information, you see like, wait a minute, something is missing. This person contradicting themselves right here, but they saying something that's really on point that I can agree with right here though. Then you got this person over here saying, I don't believe in none of it. But yet, what this individual is saying, he's saying he don't believe in none of. How can you bypass all of it when the individual was making valid points that you really should have to take into consideration as something you can agree with and utilize, right? But you discard the whole idea of coming up with certain solutions to certain problems. You know what I'm saying? To where it seemed like the battle of the mind is always being attacked. So I'm saying this to say this, right? There's certain spiritual passages that a person can accept or leave alone, right? Even like in the Bible, in the book of what's that? For educational purposes only, when it was saying that the earth has given, in the book of Job, when it was talking about the earth has been given into the hands of the wicked. Now, these generalized statements, we know there is a satanic and Luciferian conspiracy of schemes going on in the earth where the evil ones have a certain time to perform their witchcraft and devilishment on the planet for a particular time. And in addition to that, it was speaking about like even the clothes that certain people will be wearing in this era of time, right? Even the clothes they wear will hate the body that the clothes is on. In addition to like evil doers, that when they wash their hands, you know what I'm saying, with some soap and water, his and her hands still be filthy and dirty from the evils that they have committed with their hands, that they consciousness bear witness against them, who have perpetrated certain acts which is spiritual. It has nothing to do with just physically cleaning your hands. It's a spiritual dirt. So the spiritual dirtiness of people out here that's spiritually dirty, you know what I'm saying? They are indeed spiritually dirty. So how can they eradicate that uncleanliness up out of their internal spirit self? They real person, you know what I'm saying, in terms of who we are. We are the spiritual being, you know what I'm saying, which is connected to a certain intelligence system that is beyond human comprehension, but we get a sense of comprehending it on a level that we can understand. You know what I'm saying? Because this is a divine, intelligent existence that we living in. That's a product from the divine intellect of the Most High's creation. That's rooted in divine intelligence, which is a divine design and a intelligent design that a lot of us is distracted from because we have been fed to feed our fleshly carnal selves, not the spirit body, but our carnal bodies in a materialistic universe and environment to where all we know is physical appetites, fun and games that got a lot of us not using our brains. You know what I'm saying? So that's the key thing though. To not get us to use our brains on a level to where we looking at the purity in which we was created in. You know what I'm saying? So for him or her that has the temples, the temples. See this right here? The real holy place is mental. That's why they call these temples up here. Because the real house of the Most High, the divine mother, dwell in the infinity of the brain of man and woman. That's a science right there, right? That certain forces don't want us to know about and tap into, to what we have mastery over ourselves, what we have mastery over how we affect our environment regarding being beings of natural nature. Now, for instance, watch where these particular terms go, dealing with how we trying to figure out how to straighten out the confusion that white supremacy put our people in. Because Eurocentric creations regarding Eurocentric creations, right? Like what they call, say, like the criminalized black man and woman or male or child, right? Who end up being a negative statistic in a society that feeds off of the ignorance of black people's ignorance, to where these certain black people ignore certain knowledge that will make them knowledgeable people who would reflect the best in civilized society, right? So regarding certain sectors of society, to where you have blacks who are molded and shaped by certain ter- stereotypical terminologies that render them, you know, a reflection of the negative stereotypes as a result of Eurocentric center creations in the first place, to where they fit the description of people who was manufactured by what they call the nigger factory. You know what I'm saying? Which is a certain subculture that's branded to be predictable, to be individuals that's caught up in non-cerebral activity, but individuals who've been groomed to love a criminal lifestyle, who are bred to glorify or be in love with the habits of drinking, smoking, being intoxicated, having inebriated mind, where their spirits are drunken. You know what I'm saying? And to such a fashion where that is the cool way to be, disorientated and distracted from cerebral activities such as spiritual consciousness, psychological soundness, sociological awareness, geopolitical awareness, to where certain individuals' behaviors cause them to be a food source for certain greedy monsters who is in disguise as benevolent people who don't have a hand in the creation of the subculture that a lot of our people have participated into in the first place, called the unseen hands of society and these schemes of societal manipulations called social engineering. Now watch this, right? It's this brother who was pertaining to like individuals who lack knowledge of self. You know what I'm saying? In this world that's full of mind games, right? To where the brother was like, and I can understand this to a certain degree, but I got a mind of my own where I put two and two together in a certain perspective to where I got to do my own due diligence and research to come up with the truth in terms of like put on my they live glasses to see what other people not seeing in the environment, or my third eye activation. You know what I'm saying? Regarding my thinking cap being on in the perspective where I'm using my brain in a way that I'm supposed to use my brain as a thinker. You know what I'm saying? As far as me being a free thinker, right? Now, this goes on to read. You don't know me. You don't know who you be, right? You don't know who you be messing with. Now, for instance, right? This is one of many ghetto mantras chanted by a person without knowledge of self, right? Truth is, virtually everyone knows the constitution of so-called blacks because they are the only existing man-made person topside planet mud. People know the content of a product by its label or identification. The pale-skinned nations enslave the minds of their 20th century hostages so that the world would know them by their actions. Hence, black folks being the first to claim no one knows them are the last to discover who they are, albeit as long as they claim black as their identity and defecate between two hills. Their measly mental limitations are already known from the certification of their births regarding our birth certificates. Okay, now that right there is pointing to is something behind the reality of our birth certificates, right? What's the purpose of our birth certificates? What is the birth certificates really disclosing and not disclosing? What is the real symbolism of the birth certificates? What they mean regarding the documentation of the birth certificates, right? Please note, the minds of men are programmed with human knowledge to the full capacity of their memories. It does not take a computer expert to figure out the type of programming is contingent upon the size of the computer's memory. The smaller the retention capacity, the less information it can hold. In both cases, the mind of man and the computer designed after it strengths is dependent upon stored memory, more commonly known as their history. Strength is degrees of power. Minds of so-called black slaves were programmed with the nil capacity to remember themselves when they were gods, their great God or divine heritage. Noble Drew Ali summarized this knowledge of history in The Science of Nationality and Divine Creed. Without these 2/5, one is only 3/5 of all other persons. United States Constitution. Therefore, contrary to the psychological threat, you don't know me. You don't know who you be messing with. The reverse is more real than fiction, right? When one has been deprived of self, family, and nation, no American memory of either for the Negro, black, colored, then programmed to meet the political, social, economical, and religious needs of others. Plus don't forget the games. Oh, the pacifiers of sport. And entertainments. These are a must and do come standard with each computer. Pseudo citizens. What you have is a person limited to the scope of your domestication. Persons predictable by allotted accesses. Persons with no national or international jurisdiction. Persons who seek freedom in the limitations of life to his oppressor. Person of inconstant and subliminal behavior due to denationalization and dehumanization. Persons called by judges as being without compos mentis, sound mind, have full use of one's mental faculties. Indeed, the Negro, black, and colored folks were made by man to be unfit, disrespected, unclean, and impure before the family of nations. Blacks are proudly subjugated persons filled with false prides, not knowing the pride of emptiness is an abomination. I love my people, yet for anyone to be so constructed before the world, then say you don't know me, is a foolish and empty outcry. The fool is obstinate and doubt it not. He knows all things but his own ignorance. Soon they will see. The only people who do not know me is I. Nations think long range. because of long ancestral roots in history. I'm going to read that again. Nations think long range because of long ancestral roots in history. Us as a people, we have the longest long range ancestral roots in history. There is something called the African polygenetic tree of humanity that all humanity is connected to. Without being aware of that from a Sankofa perspective, dealing with the global African community regarding Pan-Africanism, Sankofa, the global African community that represent the Jinyami symbol in a language you can understand, that represent the supremacy of the Most High. Where we all come from a common culture with a land that tie us to the lands, the languages, resources of them lands, to where ain't no excuse to why we, you know what I'm saying, shouldn't be organized through the lenses of our cultural norms. So something have happened mentally to the point where we have become so mentally stripped, and to the point where we be acting so backwards when it comes to being out of our minds, which shows that we have been possessed by an alien spirit that got us acting backwards and self-destructive toward one another. You know what I'm saying? Without looking after the blessings of the Most High that the Most High bestowed upon us, being tied to land masses that's rich in mineral resources, gold, diamonds, oil, and find ourselves separated where outsiders of our body politic, so to speak, has extracted the riches for themselves. Well, we have allowed ourselves to be brainwashed, to not be enriched by the divine blessings that was bestowed upon us. That way it appeared, it has been stolen from us, and we allow ourselves to be impoverished, disorganized, out of our minds, to where we can't see straight how to manage our own house. You know what I'm saying? In a way where we benefit, you know what I'm saying, from our own house. Where we take care of everybody in our own household and make sure everybody's straight. Instead of being jealous of one another with nothing. I'm jealous of her, you know what I'm saying, because she got more nothingness than me. Or this brother jealous of this brother because he got more nothingness than he got. So here it is, you ain't got nothing. And you jealous of somebody else because they got more nothing than you. You know what I'm saying? This insanity has to stop, and the only way it's going to stop is that we get back to becoming mentalists, being in our right mind with organized information that allow us to see things how it's supposed to be seen, to secure the elements, to secure the necessities we need to maintain our nationhood, instead of thinking like fragmented broken down individuals as a result of being criminalized by a society of white supremacy domination that caused a lot of our people to end up being what's called the microcosm of the macrocosm of society. The leaders of this society, right, are Eurocentric creations regarding whether you're a law-abiding citizen or somebody who's shooting moves, doing stuff that's considered criminal activity. The criminal activity is a microcosm of the macrocosm criminal activity of the rulers of the society who create crimes on a level beyond the level we can possibly imagine. Like, for instance, you got an individual, in the streets dealing crack cocaine, selling rocks, right? That's the macrocosm connected to that's the microcosm connected to the macrocosm. And who is the macrocosm? The society that's responsible for handling the big dope that end up getting his way into the hands of the small microcosm street peddler in the street, where the source of where it comes from is the big dogs. You know what I'm saying? The macrocosm of the society controlled by those who exercise in criminality on a much higher level that we not in on. We not in them circles. You know what I'm saying? Or, for instance, the guns in the community that's not legally bought. You know what I'm saying? Guns is easy to come by out here in these streets. You know what I'm saying? If you need, you some heat or something, you know what I'm saying? You make a move, you ain't telling on yourself, you gonna take care of your business, go do what you need to do to get you some protection. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's got however it got, you know what I'm saying? Especially in what they consider a high crime environment, who in their right mind they gonna go get them some protection to protect themselves in a high crime environment, whether you're a law abiding person or not. But guess what? The law abiding citizen, right, is still a product of the macrocosm, because the rulers who made the laws in our society, you know what I'm saying? The law abiding person still is a product of the Eurocentric creators of those laws in the first place too. So with respect to that, say for instance, we is living in a nation of laws, like they say. Why is there double standards when it comes to people who is considered people with money in comparison to people who don't have money? You know what I'm saying? But yet, we all have equal protection under the law. But yet, say a black person and a white person commit the same crime, but due to the color of their skin, the punishments for them crimes is yet different, because we see the pattern through the FBI crime reports and things of this particular nature, where it show reports of between blacks and whites that commit the same crime. Blacks end up getting sentenced with more time than whites. You know what I'm saying? What's going to show certain racist adjudications against blacks and a racist society, you know what I'm saying, that uses double standards against people who is considered minorities. You know what I'm saying? So, as far as us not putting ourselves in certain positions, we can get caught up in the stereotypes in society, right? We got to become thinkers and separate ourselves from the unclean things of this world that has been given into the hands of the wicked to do their wickedness. You know what I'm saying? So, in light of the manufacturing, you know what I'm saying, of these elements that want to constantly keep you on a mental lockdown. You can't allow your mind to get caught up, you know what I'm saying, in these power games to squeeze you into a situation to where your life is not under your own control. And that's what they like, perpetuating the confusion to where the households of certain black men and women, you know what I'm saying, be at odds, not cooperating with one another, but being at odds to where, you know, all kind of forces that came in between their thoughts that got them, you know, um, polarized from each other. You know what I'm saying? Well, all kind of negative self-talk and all kind of negative talk going on between them to where you just can't get along because of the foul things that you think about one another as the main source of the factor that weds you apart from one another. You know what I'm saying? But who cares? Don't nobody cares. Because individuals' hearts so hardened and callous to the point where don't nobody give a fuck about nothing no more. You know what I'm saying? Just chase the dollar. Chase the spell of the dollar bill. That's the only thing that matter. So when we do the knowledge, and learn about the individuals that's on learn about the history of the individuals that's on the money that our people love so much. You know what I'm saying? Instead of having that love for one another, dealing with the bigger picture of us getting out these hells of North America, and building a future nation for ourselves, you know what I'm saying? Beyond the spell of the currency getting in the way of our natural affections for one another. The money have done just that. Motherfuckers is separated like a motherfucker because of this money out here. The money game, the money spell. You know what I'm saying? To where they can't see divine interventions that have manifested that shit to get us to get in tune with what time it is for us. Like I had said earlier, there is regarding the concept of time. We living in an era of time where time have ran out for others. To where we living in an era of time to where it's just now the beginning for others. Time has ran out for certain ones where time have just begun for us. But yet due to the constant confusion and distractions designed to keep us distracted, right? We still caught up in ways to where our people getting hurt out here, our people catching hard times out here because of the self-inflicted ignorance or being attracted to what we think, you know what I'm saying, is stuff that's designed to mean as well, you know what I'm saying, but it's actually stuff that's counterproductive to our well-being that's geared for a lot of our people to self-destruct. You know what I'm saying? To where, you got people out here, I don't trust nobody, man. Trust been broken, and the trust may be justifiable. But at the same time, the mental disease, and the self-hatred and the lack of love, that's really the sources, the betrayal, these things, these negative personality traits is the source of all of the chaos and confusion. So me, for instance, like the term, you fight fire with fire. No, no, you don't fight fire with fire. You fight fire with water. You know what I'm saying? You fight fire with water. So by me being a water sign, right? I fight fire with water. I have a smooth character. You know what I'm saying? And when I get righteous anger, you know what I'm saying? It feels like fire, but yet, you know what I'm saying? It's more like a hurricane, a tidal wave, or, a tornado, to quelch, the confusion as a result of me bringing order in an environment, that may have demonic elements in it, only for it to get exercised and eradicated from my clean spirit. Because as a result of me letting my light shine, is an indication that the Most High is with me. You know what I'm saying? I didn't come to play no games. I'm just being myself. You know what I'm saying? And let my light speak for itself to where certain things is being smoothed out on my behalf. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how it is, because everywhere I go, right, Most High go before me. Make the crooked places straight. You know what I'm saying? That I may be protected. You know what I'm saying? In my comings and goings. You know what I'm saying? In a world where people front and wear masks like they like you, but in all actuality, it ain't all good, because they got bullshit inside of them, you know what I'm saying, that caused them to be a character, you know what I'm saying, who is unfit to be your friend. You know what I'm saying? This goes on to read though, right? Regarding, you know what I'm saying, how a nation think. Nations think long range because of long ancestral roots and history. The black man, absent of his own nation or national interest, has a very short retention of himself, a nation. Now think about that. You know what I'm saying? The black man, absent of his own national interest. 9 times out of 10, what black men and women in here in the United States, where we have a national interest that we all agree upon. I'll wait. You know what I'm saying? Like I had made a statement regarding me being myself. Okay, say I'm a single black man. You know what I'm saying? And I have a desire. Okay, I go find me a black woman where we can build you know what I'm saying, together, you know what I'm saying, and do us and be cool, right? But you got certain institutions and organizations that like women be in, or, you know, you go to these places, you know what I'm saying, and you have the right, you know what I'm saying, to seek and find a woman for yourself without no institution handcuffing her mind, you know what I'm saying, in a way where if you leave this group, you know what I'm saying, that's kind of productive, you know what I'm saying, by you letting this individual pull you away from your positive connection you got with this organization, this, that, and the third. When, wait a minute. We all are one people. So I got just as much authority, you know what I'm saying, to talk to any sister of my choice. And if she wanna make her mind up to be with me and I ain't gotta be in there with y'all, then that's our business. More power to us, even though we support our Black Power organizations wherever they are. You know what I'm saying, under different names, with a national interest of us just being a liberated people who identify with all of the revolutionary ideas that we bring to the table. Because after all, my black woman is still my black woman. My black woman is still my black woman, wherever she at or wherever I'm at. So we so divided amongst ourselves in the internal affairs of our own people. There is conflicts between us coming together, even on that level. Somebody always got to have something to say about who doing what with this brother or that sister. Us as adults, we can do what we want to do. You know what I'm saying? My copper colored skin color, from the darkest melanated color to the lightest melanated color, is our uniforms as, you know, black people. You know what I'm saying? In a language you can understand, who been touched by global white supremacy. We all dealing with the same stuff. And we all have justifiable reasons, you know what I'm saying, to where we support each other regarding coexisting together. Because we all have minds of our own, but some of y'all act like y'all under the influence of somebody else's mind, under mind control within your own groups that you be in. You know what I'm saying? I declare that I'm a free black man, a free Nubian, a free Nubian, a free Moor, Yamasee Creek Seminole, original indigenous Indian, whatever name we can identify with that represent us. You know what I'm saying? Regarding the national interest of us all is to be liberated from the same forces that we all fighting against. You know what I'm saying? Connected with the proper representation of our people, even from here to Burkina Faso. You know what I'm saying? With brother Ibrahim Traore, president of Burkina Faso, dealing with the Sankofa, the global African community. You know what I'm saying? It only makes sense that we allow ourselves to be free amongst one another. You know what I'm saying? And trust the process of us developing the national interest that this brother is talking about, that other brothers and sisters disagree with. See, that's the problem. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? These conflicts of ideas don't make sense. We have to come up with a solution for that. And I always stress this as the solution. We look at all the angles which other nations will agree with this ideal as well, because in certain respects, in the intelligence communities, they doing this. We have to come up with what's called intelligentsia, a collective intelligence that include all the ideologies that make sense. Matter of fact, hold on, I'm finna go get this read material. I got what I was looking for. Now, regarding us as a nation, right? Paying attention to certain things, you know what I'm saying, that's relevant for us as Nubian people, you know what I'm saying. Um, it's this. It's like who paying attention to certain processes when it comes to the resurrection of our people. You know what I'm saying? Now, for instance, it's like by default, you know what I'm saying, we support certain black liberation organizations that work in service of our well-being, right? Now, for instance, okay, the Nation of Islam, through the teaching of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you know what I'm saying, the sciences of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., Noble Drew Ali, Deuce Ali, Dr. Malachi Z. York, you know what I'm saying, you know, on the African continent, you know what I'm saying, you have revolutionary organizations and movements that go hand in hand with the liberation aspirations of our people. Yet, say for instance, right, for the sake of conversation amongst us regarding topics like this, right? Okay, regarding the end times. Noble Drew Ali prophesied, right, that these supposed, you know, terms that was said by him, right? Okay, now some have been fulfilled, some have not, right? Throughout this book, there are prophecies spoken by Noble Drew Ali. Some have been fulfilled. Moors will take this movement down so low, it will appear to have disappeared from the face of the earth. Now, mind you, Moors will have taken this movement down so low that it will almost appear to have disappeared from the face of the earth. Now, what activities could possibly brothers and sisters be doing to take certain organizations down so low that it will appear that they have disappeared from the face of the earth as if they never been here? What is it in us that cause us to be so destructive, so counterproductive, so inconsiderate to not protect what's valuable amongst us as a people when it comes to wisdom that is to be protected? Some of us get it, which is a blessing, baby. Some of us don't, which is a fucking curse. You know what I'm saying? And it seemed like what was that, Malachi 4:5, and what was that, Malachi 4:5 in the Bible was talking about, I will send you Elijah, right? Let me find that. Hold on. Let me see. Malachi 4:5. I will send you Elijah. Wait a minute. I'm just trying to make sense. Just trying to make it make sense, y'all. I will send you Elijah. Is this it? Where is that at? Hold on. I found it right here. Malachi 4:5. See, I will send you the prophet Elijah before the great and dreadful day of the Lord comes, he will turn the hearts of the fathers to their children and the hearts of the children to their fathers, or else I will come and strike the land with a curse. Now, amongst the people on the land, there is a cursed seed of devils. You know what I'm saying? Then the master teacher came with the book, Are There Black Devils? Who is of the devil's seed that look like us, but they are straight up black devils. So, by the earth being given into the hands of the wicked, right? The iniquities of these certain powers is not yet full. Though we living in a sun cycle right now to where the devil's time has ran out, but yet we still see devilishment in a lot of sectors of the world where we live, in the society and in communities, in terms of the earth being struck with a curse. The source of the curses appears to be coming from satanic forces, demonic forces, Luciferian forces, wicked forces, certain workers of iniquity that hate to see us free, to be doers of good, which is insane. And we wonder why it's so much dysfunction amongst us in our communities and in this world. So for us who take our power back to be to who want to be good and who want to do good and fight against the evil ones, you know what I'm saying? We take power, you know what I'm saying, to control our own selves through the righteous side of our willpower. So with that said, right, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Brother Farrakhan, like on the poster the master teacher displayed before the world, we are family. But yet, you got a lot of individuals that's at odds, right? Or at each other's throats, or even individuals who be adopting the knowledge itself with public images and good platforms of communication to where they articulate certain teachings that's healthy for the people and turn around being demons themselves to where they make a spectacle of themselves to be charlatans and scammers. This shit is crazy, y'all. Think about it. Look, that shit is crazy. You know what I'm saying? And it's shocking. And it's surprising. But you have individuals who don't be surprised. I mean, to each his own. I'm like, whoa. This is some crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? How individuals, you know what I'm saying, be talking about the Christian liars, right? And here it is, you got individuals in the conscious community turn around and be even worse than them, which is conspicuous, crazy, twisted backwardness. You know what I'm saying? Now, in light of me doing this transmission, right? Regarding back to what I was speaking about, as far as like when Noble Drew Ali said, Moors will take this movement down so low it will appear to have disappeared from the face of the earth, but it will raise or rise again when seven bridges cross in the sky. Now, what that means? See, when certain things be said, why was it said that way? When he said, did this really come from him? This is not spookism. This is scientific reality. This is spiritual science. What is that metaphor really saying? Where seven bridges, when it will rise, it will rise again when seven bridges cross in the sky. Now we know we be seeing chemtrails in the sky, crisscrossing all in the skies. But he said seven bridges. You know what I'm saying? So of course he wasn't talking about chemtrails. So what was he talking about? But we do know that the teachings is still thriving to this day, to where individuals is identifying with the Moorish Science Temple of America's teachings by individuals proclaiming their nationalities, you know, like on a more popular level in comparison to back then. You know what I'm saying? So many others are being fulfilled. For example, the United States have won a world war and will win the next, which will be their last to decline. U.S. won world wars 1 and 2, but has not won Korean or Vietnam, etc. The Gulf War, called Desert Storm, yielded more American casualties than the Muslims it had bombed. Since World War II, the United States has officially declared a conflict or a war on one thing and another, but never declare war against another government. Indeed, there has been a war on poverty, a war on drugs, and even a war on terrorism. But with the exception of Iraq, the United States has not declared open congressional approved war on any country. And although not one day has gone by in the last 100 years that this new government was not fighting somewhere in the world, there has not been a there has not been a declared war, because Noble Drew Ali and Nostradamus have clearly prophesied the U.S. will not win another war. This includes the 2003 occupation of Iraq. Now, regarding all these wars, the decline of America's war power, is this a pattern consistent with the prophecies of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad regarding the fall of America? Because all over the world outside the United States, we see certain friendships of the United States dwindling. Yet America, through this current Trump administration, trying to gain some kind of ground with strengthening its political affairs with foreign governments, You know what I'm saying? Despite its history, you know what I'm saying, of political differences because of the foreign policies of the United States of America in particular. So, in this era of time, you know what I'm saying, has time run out for some while this is a, well, where time is a new beginning have occurring for others. What time is it? What time is it really? You know what I'm saying? Amongst us while we live on our time, and what is our state of mind about life? You know what I'm saying? As we know it, in terms of us being in tune with our knowledge itself. You know what I'm saying? And where's we headed? Where's we going? Like the brother, um, one of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's son just passed, I think just passed not too long ago. I think his name was Brother Rasul. You know what I'm saying? And he was making a statement about like what I'm concerned about, like, wait a minute. Everybody in the United States of America, whether you black, white, whatever nationality you is, the father of the books that's out here for people to read is out here for people to read. You know what I'm saying? Whether you believe in them or not, if you do take certain things into consideration about the reading materials that's out here, that's in public circulation for people to ascertain on their own, right? And you be the judge. Like when brothers say certain things out here, like don't believe me, check it out, accept it, or leave it alone. You know what I'm saying? A wise man, you know what I'm saying, will be inquisitive to these read materials to see what they are talking about regarding history, the now, and the future, in in a way to where you be the judge of what these things mean. So, in light of the book, The Fall of America, the brother, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's son, was disclosing about him. He was speaking, he was saying that he remember when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was speaking on safe zones to be at, right? Safe zones to be at when the fall of America take place. You know what I'm saying? Because on the book, it was showing America engulfed in flames. You know what I'm saying? And recently, we've been seeing all kind of anomalies to where these is not normal occurrences that's been occurring, but they have been occurring. You know what I'm saying? To where the fires, you know what I'm saying, was consuming large hectares of land in California. Tornadoes hitting all over the place. Earthquakes, landslides. You know, people losing their mind. You know what I'm saying? People losing they scruples. People robbing and stealing. You know what I'm saying? Killing, murdering. You know, backstabbing. Murder plots. You know what I'm saying? Wives killing husbands, husbands killing wives. You know what I'm saying? Police brutality. You know what I'm saying? Just too much dysfunction and maladjusting behavior. You know what I'm saying? Maladaptive behavior, psychosis, pathological lying, you know, trust issues, famines. You know what I'm saying? People losing they religious convictions, giving up hope, hopelessness, you know, um, drug overdoses. You know what I'm saying? And it's, you know what I'm saying, car theft, home invasions. You know what I'm saying? And people beefing up securities on they properties. You know what I'm saying? And over surveillance in the society, dealing with invasion of privacy. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no more privacy how it used to be. Everything is being watched. Everybody being watched. Everywhere you go, cameras everywhere, invading your privacy. You know what I'm saying? To the point where there's no place like home. And Farrakhan one day he was like, you know what? Where the Holy Quran was speaking about, you know what? It's gonna become so bad out here. You know what I'm saying? Our homes of our places of worship are gonna be within our own household. We're just like that right now. That's why you see me in the house right now. Doing the knowledge, communicating through this portal, this visual portal, you know what I'm saying, of communication. My phone, connecting with you where you at right now. You know what I'm saying? Which is a form of safe communication. You know what I'm saying? So, for the sake of being able to talk to somebody or express myself, you know what I'm saying, in a way where, it appears, you know what I'm saying, it's worthwhile to make a documentary like this or a communication. I'm not no, okay, say for instance, right, you have experts in social media. I'm just everyday people. You know what I'm saying? That's just click a button and talk to y'all. You know what I'm saying? Just with some knowledge itself. Well, I'm just trying to make sense of what's going on. That's all. Coming from angles you may not even thought of, or I may come up with a thought that challenge what you think to convert you over to what I'm saying. Like, I agree with that. Don't follow me, follow the Most High. You know what I'm saying? Because the Most High want us all to have a good relationship, you know what I'm saying, with the Most High. You know what I'm saying? The Most High want us to have a good relationship with the Most High. You know what I'm saying? As we befriend one another as a soul tribe, you know what I'm saying, that is a that's connected to a conscious frequency of thought. You know what I'm saying? That we all may be, you know, blessed, you know what I'm saying, with the well being, you know what I'm saying, to stay enriched and encouraged to stay on the straight and narrow path. You know what I'm saying? Staying separated from the unclean things of this world out here that don't mean us no good. Through these foul people out here, you know what I'm saying, who just riddled in misery. Because that misery, they really do love company. That's not my kind of company right there, man. You feel me? It's not me. You know what I'm saying? My energy is too precious for that. You know what I'm saying? So in light of the knowledge though, kicking the science, right? Now, this goes on to read, right? Um, about prophecies of Noble Drew Ali. Then there are numerous prophecies yet to be fulfilled. The holy prophet upon often said, you Moors are going to be saved in a conflict that cannot be told in words. If you doubt that I am a prophet, then watch my prophecies. How can people watch his prophecies if they don't know what his prophecies is? Because of them not being readers. That's why I encourage y'all to be inquisitive about subjects on all levels, right? Where you can be able to put two and two together and see things where other people can't see, which will be a blessing for you. That's why we have to get into reading in these days and times. Why you think Partner Bab Yanun wrote so many books? For us to become mentalists again. Get back into the mental plane, the plane of thought. You know what I'm saying? Where we are to exercise brain power through thought power. Connected with thought power, connected to the mental reservoir, which is a realm of mental energies, right? You know what I'm saying? Connected to the Akashic records of the universe and our DNA through us being in control of our thought powers, right? Which is the most potent power in the universe, our thought power, right? In addition with our extrasensory perceptions, psychometry, clairvoyance, intuition, and telepathy. Now, regarding the prophecies, they give us forethought where we can see down the wheel of time from the advanced minds that pulled our coats, you know what I'm saying, that got our attention to ponder on these things, you know what I'm saying, as a result of our attention being in the right place at the right time, which is now. Now is the time for us to feed our mind right knowledge. Okay, this goes on to read, right? Okay, in his chapter 48, the end of time and the fulfilling of the prophecies, Noble Drew Ali announces his divine authority and warns men of the great wrath which is sure to come upon the earth. He instructs the Moors to return to the Islam, right, which was founded by our forefathers, which was for the Moors Americans earthly and divine salvation. This angel of Allah constantly warned the Moors to repent from their sinful ways before the great and awful day which is sure to come. By now I pray most readers can understand that all persons and government entities which support the institution of black and all other denationalization labels are in severe violation of God's universal and divine laws and is a great sin. The black issue is ungodly and now today stands in bold defiance of the invokement of the wrath of the great God, especially in the wake and warning of his holy prophet Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali, Noble Drew Ali. The Moors Americans are not only being selfishly held back from their true free national name, which identifies them as the new awaited nation of the earth. Like, there's certain forces who, like, when they be like, oh, white people or certain people of the planet know black people better than they know themselves, to where they see we still like awakening. But what happened to us when we took a deep sleep to where we have fell, where in terms of us being a fallen nation of people, right? To where we experience historical amnesia, to where we start being the living dead, where we appear to be under a psychological hypnotic spell of amnesia, forgetfulness, who've been deeply gaslighted to such a level to where the gaslighted lasted for hundreds of years. But under them hundreds of years of being mentally under certain spells of sleep, being physically brutalized by violence from the hearts and minds of sadistic, racist people, right? Who delighted in shedding our blood, our people's blood, to where they committed heinous crimes against our humanity, which is a history that is written in blood, tears, screams, cries, to the point where the bloodshed was so major, the earth just been soaked with the blood of many of our ancestors, men, women, and children. And you wonder why Donald Trump wanted to get rid of critical race theory in the United States of America as a result of these atrocities and criminal acts. The real crimes of this, now them is the crimes of the century. Them real crimes of the century, right? They want to sweep them under the rug so we can quit using them against white people as a rebuttal to things that white people try to come up with to hide their guilt of their ancestors' criminal activities against our humanity as a people. You know what I'm saying? Creating these foul, unwholesome environments for us to live in, the poor housing and the land theft, you know, the you know, the wicked treatment, the wicked hatred, to the point where it done drove our people so crazy we start hating each other. Like the slave masters was brutalizing our own people. Now, a lot of our people regarding the black on black violence is a twisted symptom that have imploded on itself, or to where like certain minds of black people who've been under such genetic memory of slavery, to where they have become their own worst enemies now as racist toward one another, which sound very, very psychotic, doesn't it? To the point where you got like white women or couples or something. You know what I'm saying? They got this universal image as if, like they say, oh, how they, uh, trying to paint a picture like, oh, black people in their communities have a monopoly on the crime in the society or in their communities, which is a lie. The ones who have a monopoly on the crime in the community is a Eurocentric creation as the macrocosm of the crime of society. Outside of that is just the microcosm, you know what I'm saying, that has learned, which is learned behavior from the real um, powerful elements of the country. So you gotta know how to not be mislabeled out here when it comes to you taking control of your life and not giving in to these negative stereotypes that they try to push on you or me. I am not a criminal. I am a positive law abiding citizen. You know what I'm saying? That bring culture, you know what I'm saying, and healing to the environment, to the community, and to the nation as a whole, as a result of me carrying into practice the treaty laws and the constitutional laws of our nation. But yet, on our watch, though, we see certain government institutions carrying out color of law operations that is in sync with a de facto government other than the de jure government, which is the government. The de jure government is the real government that operate in jurisprudence. So, like when they say, ignorant to the law ain't no excuse. That's why it's up to each one, teach one, and each individual in these households in the United States of America got to properly educate the household about our rights. You know what I'm saying? Because the devil, indeed, is the author of confusion, where they don't want you to know certain things so they can take advantage of you. Your protection is your knowledge, where they can't take advantage of you. That's why they say a well-educated person is not fit to be a slave. Okay, this resumes to read, right? Now, for instance, okay, this goes on to read. Hold on. What up? Yeah, I'm back. Okay, now this resume to read, right? Most Americans were not only being selfishly, wait a minute. Please note, Muhammad, the great prophet of Allah, did not create, invent, nor bring Islam into existence. Now, wait a minute. Who did bring Islam into existence? Islamism, the science of redemption and salvation for mankind on earth, was first developed through the ancient ones. Who are the ancient ones? The earthlings. Why use the term earthling? Right? Which goes to show me the beings that use the term earthlings are beings from beyond the earth that's here on the earth amongst earthlings, right? And ancient forefathers of today's Moorish Americans. Now, regarding the ancient ones and Islam and earthlings, okay, where did Islam come from? You know what I'm saying? Where did Christianity come from? Where did Judaism come from? Where did Hinduism come from? Where Zoroastrianism come from? You know what I'm saying? A lot of these schools of thought on the planet. Where Taoism come from? Where Eastern philosophies come from? By us being the mothers and fathers of civilizations, gods and goddesses of the universe, regarding the black man and woman being twin halves of the same divine essence of the universe, made up of the 9 ether forces that inhabit us, that we embody, whether we know it or not. You know what I'm saying? We are the physical manifestation of the original creative forces of the universe. So with that said, regarding the fall that took place with us, from being supreme beings to being brought down to a beast level, right? Living in the belly of the beast, being a product of our environment, of a beastly society that got our people living in the image of the beast, instead of us living and being reflections of living in the image of the supreme being, elder race that we descendants of, regarding the Nadjaru. You know what I'm saying? Our Kemetic ancestors, real history that place us in the right picture of things when it comes to us being mental giants. Now, for instance, we have this here, the conflict between the gods on the planet, right? Why is there so many conflicts when we want to resolve the conflicts? Why vilify, demonize somebody who come with a solution, unless you want the confusion to be maintained, or you want the confusion to continue because that's your nature, that's your natural habitat that you like to live in as a source of your power. So regarding the conflicts between the demon gods or the supreme being gods, you know what I'm saying, who got good energy gods. This war's forever, it seems, because while we here, with the time that we got here, we have to master our environment with the spiritual tools we need to keep certain things in check. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to us knowing that we are the light beings, the light workers. Well, we have enemies, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Who are negativity workers, who is not of the black light, you know what I'm saying? Or the dark workers, you know what I'm saying? The dark workers of the darkness. It's a difference between those workers of that darkness, as far as that negative energy, not the energy, the righteous darkness of supreme balancement. You know what I'm saying? So, with all our getting, we got to get an understanding. You know what I'm saying? We got to go deep in certain teachings to grasp the real hidden meaning or inner meaning or meaning of what something really means, so we can be able to guide ourselves, excuse me, guide ourselves through all of this, all of this misinformation out here that's designed to trigger confusion in your mind. You know what I'm saying? Because if you can think, you can save yourself. By me doing this communication right here, right? I'm not doing this just to hear myself. I'm doing this to communicate with my listeners, just trying to make sense in an environment that taught us wrong knowledge. Hold on, I'll be right back. I'm back. I was looking for this other information, right, dealing with these God conflicts. You know, you know what? It's amazing how the history of the planet, what I'm saying, has a rich history where it's a lot of knowledge and information that the earth is saturated with through all kind of cultures conserving information that is a reflective of its realities, right? But yet, like here in the United States of America, you have something called information control, to where a lot of our people has been miseducated on purpose to set us back in the mind. So if you control certain narratives, or you got control over certain information, and you put certain information out and the people get access to that information, that's the only information they gonna base their understanding on in terms of them just knowing that particular kind of information, right? Which is a form of controlling your mind, which is a form of what they call mind control, right? Now, with that said, us as men, we pride ourselves on being gods who have knowledge of self. Yet, thanks to Partner Bab Yanun, took him to more detail about in the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as far as us as black men, how we are to relate with our women and how our women are to relate to us. Now, in regards to our women, we got to get more deeper in depth to have a understanding, overstanding, and outerstanding of the nature of our women as well. We can't just keep harping upon our masculinity, our divine masculine. We also have to embrace an in-depth knowledge of the divine feminine, because this is a era of time where the divine feminine is to be allowed to rule in certain areas of our lives to help bring balance to help maintain balance in the earth how they supposed to, through the knowledge of ourselves. Without that knowledge, you're not going to be able to do it. You know what I'm saying? You will not be able to have the guiding principles that is required to let her blossom and bloom into the beautiful goddess that nature appointed her to be. You know what I'm saying? In her relationship to us, where we are to make this world a better place together. Now, for instance, right, I want to go here regarding the woman, right? And I want to do a lot of in-depth revelations about our woman and woman in general. Okay? Well, now, this particular question asks regarding our culture. Question: was there a time when women were worshipped as gods? Yes. Like how I worship woman, you know what I'm saying? The great goddess of the universe, I worship to this day as well. Respect and honor. In a language you can understand, where we put things in its proper perspective with respect for the divine feminine. in nature, natural nature. Question: was there a time when women were worshipped as gods? Yes. In ancient Egypt, the female deity held supremacy in Upper Egypt. The South, as Nekhet, symbolized as a vulture. The people of Lower Egypt, which includes the northern Delta region, worship their supreme deitress as a cobra, using the name Uwa Zet, Great Serpent. From about 3000 BC onward, the deities known as Nut Net Neith or Net is said to have existed when nothing else had yet been created. She then created all that had come into being according to Egyptian teachings, but they put it as Egyptian mythology. According to Egyptian mythology, because we know we gotta watch out for certain word tricknology, because certain reconstruction history writers, you know what I'm saying, change words around with changing dates, times, places, images, making black images white, you know what I'm saying, and whitewashing stuff in these particular natures, and things of this particular nature, or things of these particular natures, right, where the word mythology right here should be replaced with reality, but depending on how it's being used. So, according to Egyptian mythology, according to Egyptian reality, though, because the way our ancestors did things regarding the light of civilization being canon, how they termed things certain ways, how certain other people got a hold to that knowledge and twisted the information for their own uh selfish reasons and gains, right? It was she who first it was she who first placed Ra, the sun deity, in the sky. Other texts of Egypt tell other deities as Hathor in this role of creator of existence, explaining that she took the form of a serpent at that time. Now, what is about these symbolisms regarding the cobras, the serpents, with the vultures, and things of this particular nature in relation to symbolizing the woman, the great goddess, the deitess, right? In Egypt, the concept of the female deity always remained vital. It was the daughters, not the sons, that inherited the royal throne. It was the daughters, not the sons, that inherited the royal throne. The status of woman was higher than the early Sumerian culture also. The underworld itself was ruled by a woman by the name of Ereshkigal. In the laws of the Sumerian state of Ishnuna, it states that if a man rejects his wife after she bears a child and takes another wife from whatever and from whatever he owns, and if any accept him, they may follow him. It also states that if a woman is married but has a child with another man while her husband is away at war, she is still legally regarded as the wife of the first man. There is no mention of punishment for adultery. permission for marriage had to be received from both mother and father, right? The position and activities of a group of Sumerian women known as the Nadidu were engaged in the business activities of the temple, held real estate in their own names, lent money, and generally engaged in various economic scribes. Many of the Nadidu women lived in the temples of the deity Inanna, also called Ishtar or Erech, in Mesopotamia. The Akkadian, after a rise in position under Sargon in 2300 BC, eventually gained supremacy in about 1900 BC, gradually superseding the Sumerians as the cultural and political leaders of the area. They formed the nation known as the Babylonia, installing their capital in the city of Babylon on the central Euphrates. The Akkadian language of the Babylonian became the international language of the Near East, but the religion of the Sumerians was incorporated into the Babylonian culture, and the Sumerian language was used much. The freedom granted to the woman in Babylonia allowed them to hold and manage their own estates, and this was especially the case with priestesses of the temple who traded extensively. The woman held the highest positions. The mothers were always represented by a sign which means goddess of the house. Any sin against the mother or any repudiation against the mother was punished by banishment from the community. So as far as us really, holding our woman in high esteem, what I'm saying, is a act of sensible, goodness, what I'm saying, that really will bring certain order to our house and our environment only as a result of them being in a right mind to do so regarding governance. You know what I'm saying? That work in service, of us as men, who have this certain knowledgeable position of her greatness, to bring stability, to help her maintain, her purpose, in addition to her helping us maintain our purpose by us working in collaboration with one another through knowing our divine masculine and divine feminine principles. You know what I'm saying? So with that said, right, in addition to that, this reading material here go hand in hand, with where we going regarding the woman, the divine feminine, because a lot of our women's minds have been rearranged in this culture here in the United States as a result of the Greco-Roman mentalities of how they have removed woman from the position that we was talking about, how our Kemetic ancestors revered the woman. You know what I'm saying? So, for instance, certain symbolism and certain metaphors that apply to the woman, right? Okay, it's this particular question that say, Why did these great female angelic guardian descendants and guardian ancestors, such as Thor, use bullhorn mask, headed mask, right? Regarding, for instance, right, this picture here. The bull-headed mask. Our ancestors was very highly intelligent. They knew symbolisms to mean certain things that was hidden from the unlearned masses, that they knew the intricate details about by them having adept knowledge and insight into certain symbolisms that mean certain things that relate to the physical body of the man and the woman, right? For instance, okay, we're gonna get into it. Okay, let's see. Let's see here. Okay, we're gonna go into this here. Okay. Now, we're gonna get into these terminologies, right? That you may not heard before. You know what I'm saying? Which we have to get reacquainted with as a people pertaining to our true cultural norms and terminologies from schools of thought that have a piece of the puzzle to the bigger picture. You know what I'm saying? That give us a clear image of what the whole bigger picture is about. You know what I'm saying? So it requires attention and knowledge. Okay. Okay, for instance, we're gonna start right here regarding the woman. The guardian angelic host, Sekhmet, in the city of Hatarkah, Memphis, was logged as the wife of the angelic host Tar and the mother of the guardian angel host Nefertum and Imhotep. She was the personification of the burning heat of the sun, and as such was the destroyer of the enemies of the original Coptic church. Thus, when the invading Canaanites, which is another term for European people, right? Canaanites, called Hyksos, worshippers of Zeus or Zeus, were to be punished because they doubted the heavenly one. The guardian angel Sekhmet was called upon as she was one of the eyes of the Heavenly Father, used to manifest the power of Nataru, of all humanity. She is sometimes depicted with the sun's eye for a head. At other times, she has the head of a lion, surmounted by the sun's disk, around which is an uraeus, which is a cobra on the forehead. And she generally holds a scepter, but sometimes a knife, right? Sekhmet is a guardian angelic host of war and has as the mascot of her angelic mystery school a church, a lioness, mystery school and church, a lioness or a woman with a lioness head. She is the daughter of the Most High and bore the title Nisert, flame, which is her link to the Most High Heavenly Father, and Neri. She was one of the watchers, the guardians of the east gate of the Crystal City. Her other title was the Lady of the Bright Red Linen, which is the color of the earth in her homeland, as well as the color of the blood, iron enriched, of her enemies. The guardian angelic mother Sekhmet has a fiery aura surrounding her body. She is the bringer of plagues and pestilence, as well as relief. She was a healer, and her student priestesses and priests were physicians. Thus, Tamaran, ancient African medical practitioners, called on her to assist them doing surgery, where blood iron enriched was released when incisions were made on patients' bodies. The original books of the Bible of one bread till the ground, right? Each cell in the human body, needs its own oxygen carried by the blood. Human blood is similar to chlorophyll of the plant life. Human blood has two main constituents. The cells are corpuscles comprised of 45%, and the liquid portion or plasma, in which the cells are suspended, comprise 55%. The blood cell comprises three main types: the red blood cells, or erythrocytes, white blood cells, or leukocytes, which in turn are many different types. The third, platelets, or thrombocytes. Each type of cell has its own individual function in the human body. Plasma, the colorless solution, is 90% water. It carries different ions and molecules, including proteins, enzymes, hormones, nutrients, and waste materials such as urea, which is a compound of nitrogen waste found in the urine. Fibrinogen is the protein that creates the clot that becomes the congealed blood when the water is removed, dehydrates, and returns to the dust. The substance in the red blood cell that is largely responsible for the ability to carry oxygen and carbon dioxide is hemoglobin. The material that gives the cells the red color, it is a protein complex comprising many linked amino acids and occupies almost the entire volume of red blood cells. Essential to its structure and functions is iron. Iron is needed now solely for the magnesium, for the magnetism. Now solely, okay, iron is needed now solely for the magnetism in the blood that keep the involuntary functions of the body working properly. Its atomic weight is 55.847. Its chemical symbol is Fe, and atomic number is 26. when these two processes of the blood occur simultaneously, the physical part of the being created his skin of the soul of Gaia, the living organism called Earth, whose essence is soil. Now, that's going into the details of the biology, that we are to take into consideration as well regarding our biological operations of our body, regarding the voluntary and involuntary workings of our body. Now, you have people out here, who take our minds away from the real realities of what's really going on regarding us tapping into our spiritual powers, right? To where we get exposed or we get drilled in our heads certain esoteric teachings, surface level type teachings that don't train us to use critical thinking, but yet just believe in something without having knowledge of it, and believe in something without questioning. Just have faith in it. When, according to certain religious terminologies, like when they say faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Now we know some things in our reality, in this immediate reality that we in this world, some things we don't see. Yet there's some things we do see. There are things we don't see, and there are things we do see. So the things we don't see don't mean that it's not there. And things we don't see, in some cases, even though it's there, we don't understand the inner workings of the invisible realms that has all kind of substance in it, which contain gamma rays, X-rays, alpha rays, theta waves, beta waves, delta waves, dealing with the electromagnetic frequencies, things of this particular nature, TV rays, radio waves. Yet, inside our bodies, there's intelligences that's going on, whether we know them or not, but for the sake of having knowledge itself, that's what knowledge itself is about, getting to know the mysteries of yourself regarding the spirit world. That's a manifestation of the divine mind of the Most High. So instead of being lied to, because we have people who have made a pact with the devil to do the devil's will, right? Which is to feed us disinformation by these particular forces being disinformation experts. They specialize in lying to you. You know what I'm saying? To the point where they not your real friend. They not your real source of want to see you come up. You know what I'm saying? They not your real source of somebody who got your back or your best interests at heart. These are these are deceivers who don't deserve none of our time. You know what I'm saying? Because these people are a waste of time. And by us being individuals who value ourselves, right, our time is so precious and valuable to where it's not to be wasted amongst these particular kind of ungrateful, unworthy people. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? My happiness. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Is they misery. You know what I'm saying? To where my misery is they happiness. You know what I'm saying? So no, in this life, we're gonna have enemies. We're gonna have people who just don't like us for whatever reason. But we can't worry about that. We have to continue to let our light shine and tap into our potential and be the best we can be, living our best life, baby. That's all to it. You know what I'm saying? So fuck them. I ain't got no time to be playing no games with these small peanut brain, peanut head individuals. You know what I'm saying? Look, while we have time to perfect our being, you know what I'm saying, our happiness is their misery. Whether we know it or not, or care about it or not, you have people out here who secretly they hate on you. It just come with the territory, you know what I'm saying, when you an individual who tapping into your purpose. And there was a certain source talking about the severity of us living our purpose. It could be dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Now what in the look, look man, look, it's insane. You know what I'm saying? How these stupid ass people, you know what I'm saying, feel some type of way about you living in your purpose. You know what I'm saying? And from experience, it's crazy as fuck, right? But it's real, man. These some sick individuals out here, man. These motherfuckers is crazy, bro. Out they mind for real. Get a life. You know what I'm saying? For whatever reason, they feel like they don't have a life. You know what I'm saying? They want to be gossipers of negativity. You know what I'm saying? To try to have a negative effect in other people's lives. Who doing good? Nah. Um, I never fall for it, man. Just go about your business. You foolish. You foolish. What fools these mortals be out here. But this goes on to read though. We got to connect with the right frequency of truth and reality. Right knowledge, correct information that keep our mind in its proper sequence, where we are thinkers who is on the straight and narrow path. You know what I'm saying? Now this goes on to read this particular line of reasoning regarding the woman. The attribute al sahmiyu, the hearer, has a relationship with iron insofar as the Most High, as the hearer, hears the cries of his servants. And in order to hear more, must exist the physical ear and the inner ear and the heart. Like we have physical, senses, organs, you know what I'm saying? And we also have spiritual sense organs in the spirit realm, dealing with the spiritual heart, the spiritual ears, the spiritual eyes, the spiritual voice. For instance, when we talk about the Holy Spirit, that's coming from a realm from the spirit world, which is like a voice of intuition connected to the will of the most high intention for you to be divinely protected, for you and me to be divinely protected. You know what I'm saying? From our foes or forces. You know what I'm saying? That is that stand to be a category of being our foes, which will be defeated through our spiritual black magic. You know what I'm saying? That we know how to harness, you know what I'm saying, through channeling certain thought forms and giving birth to certain realities that nullify certain negative thought forms that try to work itself against us, that don't mean us well, when we don't deserve that, them energy forces. You know what I'm saying? So the forces we feed is from a more superior place, you know what I'm saying, that serves as a force field, you know what I'm saying, to keep us divinely protected through the intentions of our thoughts, you know what I'm saying, that work in service of our spiritual well being, you know what I'm saying, against these stupid, clowns out here, the foolishness these clowns be doing, you know what I'm saying? So stay focused and just keep your eyes open. You know what I'm saying? For the iniquities of these certain forces is not yet full. You know what I'm saying? It's just what they do. You know what I'm saying? But the Most High is the best of planners. Always know that. But we will have the last laugh every time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm making sure I get my laugh on. You know what I'm saying? With being the victorious winner. You know what I'm saying? In this environment. You know what I'm saying? This spiritual warfare. This goes on to read, all right. The physical ear is shaped as a fetus, and it is during the gestational period of the fetus when iron is an essential mineral for certain proteins, which stimulate chemical reactions as the child goes from energy, the spark, to gas, to liquid, to solid. The gas to liquid to solid. The body. Iron is essential during this period for the formation of hemoglobin, red blood cell pigment, and myoglobin, muscle cell pigment, right? Then I got a illustration about, notice the shape of the fetus on the right and the other ear, as well as the inner ear on the left, regarding how the fetus is in the shape of the ear here. Knowledge of self. Nothing and no one escapes the perception of an array, the Most High Heavenly Father and His heavenly hosts, right? Attributes and elements. Thus, they listen to those who praise the Most High, and they hear the cries of need hidden in the heart of the faithful. By the will of the highest, they know how and where to, a prayer should be answered. One who recites this name, Al Samiul, the here 500 times or 50 times on a day after making a supplication, or any particular day of the week as a supplication around 12 noon without speaking to anyone, your prayers will be answered. It can be a Thursday or any day of the week. If this name Al Samiyu is recited 100 times on a Thursday at the end of early sunrise supplication, the Most High will send his special blessings on the reciter. Now, these certain cultural practices, you know what I'm saying, which is one of millions, where we can create our own rituals, you know what I'm saying, that will work for us, that we will feel that will be in alignment and in tune with the Creator, right? Get in our quiet place, meditate, and be in tune with that divine communication and channel. You know what I'm saying? We'll get certain answers from the Most High that way as well. So believe in your own spiritual connection with the Most High. If you recite Yah Sakmet, the power 28 times a day, you will be given the power and energy to act and to act. And the fear of responsibility will be removed from your character. As an element, iron is the heaviest element that can be made in the nuclear fusion furnace that runs in the center of a star or sun. Iron has the most compact of all nuclei, so no more energy can be freed by fusing iron with by fusing iron with the nuclei. Thereby, iron is the ash of the nuclear burning process. When iron appears in a sun or star, it means it has run out of its primary source of energy. Now, going back to this particular reading, the original books of the Bible, the book of the Antichrist, right? Cycle 7. The silicon core creates iron. The core shrinks again, and the temperature continues to rise. There are now 7 phases or regions encircling and inclusive of the nucleus. A. Iron burning. B. Silicon burning. C. Oxygen burning. D. Neon burning. E. Carbon burning. F. Helium burning. G. Hydrogen burning. The inside of the star now more or less resembles an onion. The higher the temperature rises, the faster the core shrinks. At 5,000 million degrees, the iron changes back to helium. Thus is completed in changing of 554 million tons of hydrogen. Thus is completed the changing of 554 million tons of hydrogen into 550 million tons of helium into. So it changed regarding the change, the transformation. Thus is complete the changing of 554 million tons of hydrogen into 550 million tons of helium. Iron carries oxygen from the lungs to where it is needed. Iron carries oxygen from the lungs to where it is needed to generate energy, such as to the heart and brain. Iron also takes some of the waste gas, carbon dioxide, back to the lungs where it is exhaled and fresh oxygen restored. Besides being a part of the blood, hemoglobin iron SACMET is also involved in the synthesis fusion mixture of DNA. It is also necessary for normal brain function to occur. With iron shortage in infants and children causes lower mental development. Bone marrow is rich in iron. Also, bone marrow is rich in iron too because this is the site where hemoglobin is synthesized. Inside of your body, iron works with transferrin, a protein found in serum and other secretions that transfers iron between cells. Transferrin binds with iron and they work as an antibiotic simply by denying iron to any invading bacteria, which needs iron to multiply. A mother's milk contains what's called lactotransferrin, thus provides protection against bacteria. This is why in all of our ancient lands, our women nurse their young, as opposed to those who introduce feeding the child animal milk. The ancient ones, so wise. You know what I'm saying? And the ancient ones, they knew the sciences of these particular practices that bring healing to our bodies. Iron objects have been found in Tamaray, Egypt, ancient Africa. Tombs dating 5,500 BC showing how these great Nubian females, these Nubian Melanite women, these Nubian Melanites were already aware of this and the other elements. Yet, the Greco-Romans took the guardian Ra and angelic mother Sekhmet, being symbolic of the sun and war, respectively, and through the dyslexia, read Ram, R-A-M, the symbol of Ra, and it became Mars, their god of war. Remember always that the guardian angelic hosts know that ferrous sulfate, which is produced by rusting old iron and sulfuric acid, can be used to cause the seeds to bloom with life again, as they did before when the world was young. Genesis 1:20. Iron is so abundant in your environment, thus it is called an environment, where you see the word iron in environment. Yah Sakmet, we thank you for placing within our bodies the power to change our direction in life, thus bettering ourselves. Now, regarding these powers, regarding these ancient terminologies of wisdom, right? The wisdom of the ancient ones is what we based our understanding of. So, say for instance, when we see things certain ways, dealing with herbs and minerals and being herbalists and things of this particular nature, right? You have people who religious in mind think you doing voodoo or think you doing some kind of black magic in a language they've been taught, when the black magic is good, when the white magic is evil, when the devil said, I'm gonna make what's wrong look right and what's right look wrong, regarding the switching up of cultures. But what they did, they stole a lot of our history and encapsulated and conserved, chopped up, you know, a lot of our history, remixed it, gave it back to us in a watered down form, and then put their seal of approval on it. Like, um, it's information that they authorized for us to have that has no power in it, in a way that separated us from the wiring of our ancient cultures that gave us superpowers. You know what I'm saying? Which is another form of these certain forces hating on us, being jealous of us. You know what I'm saying? As a result of us being connected to a rich, abundant, history and nation in the earth. You know what I'm saying? That's full of all kind of riches and powers. You know what I'm saying? But yet, you know what I'm saying, we find ourselves waking up from a deep sleep. You know what I'm saying? To where the war of the minds is going on right now. They keep us in a deep sleep where you have certain secret society. That's secret societies that's funded, you know what I'm saying, by certain forces with money, right? To come up with programs to keep us distracted and sleep. You know what I'm saying? And then on a level you can understand, you know what I'm saying, which are mind wars. These is mind wars. So to get reconnected with our true terminologies, you know what I'm saying, we are not Protestants. They try to label us to be certain terminologies that they created, you know what I'm saying, as far as a narrative that they like to have an authority over and control. Or if this certain person practicing this, then they this. Or they can have a dogmatic mentality to where they convert you into their dogmatism, to where you thinking like your oppressors, against your own liberation, that got you in a mentality where you working in service of your own fucking enslavement. You know what I'm saying? This is a truly amazing situation that a lot of our people was in, yet they are victims, you know what I'm saying, of mind rape. Period. You know what I'm saying? So, to render you powerless as a result of you being mentally raped and stripped, you know what I'm saying, of the truth, right? Then these certain mind manipulators, you know what I'm saying, feel good at night. You know what I'm saying? Because the characteristics of the devil is to feel good from doing others wrong. And what did the devil do? The devil come to kill, steal, and destroy. You know what I'm saying? The beauty, and take the credit of that beauty for himself and win over so many souls, you know what I'm saying, for the delicacies of the harlotry. You know what I'm saying? So, regarding the woman being nurtured the right way by a divine mind that had a best self-interest at heart, but they don't see it because they blind like a motherfucker, you know what I'm saying, by the material glamour and glitz and the material things that distract them from what I'm even saying in plain English. You know what I'm saying? That's basically is nurturing today spirit, mind, heart, and soul. But yet there's forces to keep you distracted and disconnected from me to not want to be in my say for instance in my good company right now. You know what I'm saying? Where we can um feed off of each other in a righteous manner that edify our souls. You know what I'm saying? Like this environment, say for instance, certain women being welcome into my household, right? It would be good energy, environment of good energy. You know what I'm saying? As a result of us being on a certain mental plane of thought through our higher selves and not lower self activities. You know what I'm saying? It's all about the higher self activities bringing out the best in us. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So any of y'all want to connect with me, you welcome. You know what I'm saying? Through this medium of communication, you know what I'm saying? We click up and we connect with each other, break these books open, and have intelligent conversations that's designed to improve our characters through breaking these spells of ignorance off our minds, through the formulas of these correct terminologies that is designed, you know what I'm saying, to offset those particular negative weights that's in the spirits or on the spirits, you know what I'm saying, of our people that's weighing y'all down, you know what I'm saying, into the dross, you know what I'm saying, of the petty mentalities of our, women having small minds. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Living in the image of the beast and things of this particular nature. Because look, everybody on this planet is responsible for their own soul salvation. So as far as taking your time out, you know what I'm saying, to acquaint yourself, to see what the spirit has to say to your temple and feed, you know what I'm saying, your divine mind, the knowledge that'll give you clarity of how to take care of your affairs on a spiritual level where you have spiritual weapons, you know what I'm saying, that serve as a psychic self-defense for you to be able to fight back. Because we are being attacked out here with the bombardment of disinformation experts and spiritual wickedness in high places that's affecting people, you know what I'm saying, outside of them high places. You know what I'm saying? Where we dwell, being affected by these crazy things out here that we don't want to be a part of. You know what I'm saying? We like to eat, drink, and be merry, right? Look, separated from the unclean things of the world, taking that good advice of the spiritual masters. This goes on to read, though, regarding our beautiful women. Now, I want to connect some dots going into what Shahrazad Ali was talking about, the black man's guide to understanding the black woman. Queen Afua, sacred woman. Dr. Suzar, dealing with the great mama. You know what I'm saying? And how the Nubian woman must become a goddess. Y'all got to transform through the divine feminine goddess knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Through this certain medium of communication that I'm bringing from my angle by me caring about y'all. You know what I'm saying? So this goes on to read, right? We want you, this is regarding the dwelling house of Haru. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I'm going here is because you have to be exposed to these terms. Now, the dwelling house of Haru, the dwelling house of Haru, the seer, right? This goes on to read. Listen to this. We want you all to realize and notice how the Greco-Roman invaders of Egypt, ancient Africa, tried to hide this guardian angelic host involvement by using the word cobalt and describing it as black and useless, etc. However, it really represents the darkness of the true black light, which was birthed out of triple darkness in which the guardian angelic host dwelt in. Genesis 1:2. The university and church of affixed to it of the guardian angelic host Hathor, found all throughout Egypt, ancient Africa, were where the zodiac of Dendera was located. One of her main universities, which taught the angelic mysteries of creation and before, is the Knesset called Hathor, which birthed the name Athir. She was assigned this name and seated and seat meaning excuse me, hold on. I'm back here to get something to drink. Okay, now she is also called Hathor, which birthed the name Athir. She was assigned this name and seat meaning the name dwelling house of Haru, because it was felt and thought that Haru, guardian angelic host of the sun, Malachi 4:2, again going in that area, Malachi, came to rest upon evening on her breast before being reborn with the awakening dawn, which was due to her association with Aset, who nursed Haru as his mother, and she, Hathor, comforted him each evening, right, as his wife, wife/mother, while he lay his head on her chest, as most men whose wives are nurturing, motherly, do today. Regarding that metaphor, the guardian angelic host Hathor has as the mascot of her university and church of the angelic mysteries, Matthew 13:11, the celestial cow, which gives birth to the universe and all it contains, namely all the signs and elements of the true zodiac, She therefore symbolically presides over both heaven and the underworld with while wearing a headdress consisting of a pair of horns, an ancient lunar symbol with the moon disk between them. Hathor was both a giver and taker of life and was linked to agriculture as a guardian angelic host of moisture and vegetation. As such, the blending of the energies of Ma'at and the Aonet or Zodiac Dendera represent the house of hidden issues, simply revealing of that which has been kept sacred and secretly protected, thus providing us with the opportunity to heal the issues and schisms that monotheism and the likes have used to create a division globally for so long amongst us, right? Instead, we are now being given by and through our very DNA an opportunity to access the mental energies which will provide all members of humanity a sense of collectiveness and true social order, justice, or ma'at. For example, just look at how many people came together all over the world to vote for or encourage others to vote for and support President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama, who embodied the goddess principle. This is but one example of how these energies have started to manifest, right? Question: why did these great female angelic guardian descendants and guardian ancestors such as Hathor use bullhorn headed mask? Now, for instance, these symbols, back to these symbols, right? It's amazing how they correlate to certain sciences that represent the female body, right? Answer: the great mother of humanity utilized the bullhorn head mask because the shape of the bull's head is exactly the same anatomically as the uterus and fallopian tubes of female members of humanity. Thus, in actuality, is a symbol of female's ability to bring forth life from her womb and her superiority when in her right mind, which gives her the proper nurturing ability needed to govern all. This why when a person is desirous of their spouse, it is called being horny. The Greco-Roman concept of monotheism has battled to hide this and many other sacred teachings which the daughters of Taweret as a right of the Assyrian Assyrian society hold and protect as sacred. You can see monotheism attack. You can see monotheism's attack on humanity's original way within the very pages of the myth-made Bible, where you can constantly read about the downfall of the goddess culture. That's why we know the Bible been tampered with. You know what I'm saying? And it is truth mixed with falsehood. That's why we have to be aware of the truth in it and the things in it that certain witchcraft sources have did to tamper with the Bible. You know what I'm saying? To where us as certain seekers of the truth, right? We will find out certain revelations or discoveries through researching, seeking the truth, and find out the truth of the scriptures or the truth of what's classified the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? Regarding the Torah, the Bible, and the Holy Quran. To where the master teacher put together the holy tablets for us to take certain spiritual knowledge into consideration, leading to other information dealing with the Pataraks, the master secrets, the actual facts. You know what I'm saying? The things of this particular nature, to where there is spiritual revolutionary forces in the earth that's really through good intentions that's here on our behalf to be free from the psychological chains of slavery and the spells of sleep and the hypnotic spell of Kingle and the amnesia that's been placed on our people's minds to be set free from that, out of the mental prisons. You know what I'm saying? In the environment of mind wars. You know what I'm saying? So, as far as keeping things in its proper perspective, we get a better focus once we furnish our mind with certain knowledge itself that give us a glimpse into the proper perspective of nature, instead of our minds being polarized into an unreality by trick knowledge. So, through the proper sequence and order of this information that's based on right knowledge, right wisdom, and right understanding, to where we have sound right reasoning that give us an overstanding, understanding, and outer standing of a cycle of reality, which is a spiritual glimpse into a real world of non-ether forces. You know what I'm saying? That's in tune with the proper evolutionary forces of the universe that we are in, where we create a certain reality for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? That fit the nature in which we was created. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to the contaminating forces, you know what I'm saying, that has been at work to turn us inside out. You know what I'm saying? To the point where we have became alien to ourselves, to where we have a mentality of a people that we are not who we really supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? To where we out here operating as a people who has really been possessed by demons, who is not in our right minds because of the re-education process that somebody else put in our head as a result of being enslaved. That enslavement is the evidence of us being out of our right minds, which is the source of the dysfunction of the black on black uh, detrimental dysfunction of the black community that needs to be cleaned up through the divine intervention of these teachings of pure enlightenment into our true spiritual science that put us on the right track through love of ourselves, through this cultural information, you know what I'm saying, that is dealing with supreme wisdom. Back to the supreme beings. Remember the supreme beings, that the supreme beings that we are, through the supreme wisdom that we reflect as the gods of the planet. Now, this goes on to read, right? Okay, I'm gonna be on the right track. Hold on. I found where I was at. All right. You can see the monotheisms attack on humanity's original way within the very pages of the myth-made Bible that we know, you know what I'm saying, where we're dealing with, it's a certain reality that regarding the truth in the Bible that's been tampered with, right? Because there's truth in the Bible. Now, regarding the Bible, though, where you can constantly read about the downfall of the goddess culture and the female guardian sexuality that they embody in the horrific stories of the Old Testament, such as Joshua in the Battle of Jericho, in actuality, Jericho, the sacred society of Egyptian rites, Tamarian rites. This is a one-sided so-called historic tale or story told by the Greco-Romans. That's what they do. They twist all kind of knowledge. The Greco-Roman monotheists about the vanquished ancient sacred woman who had kept the rites of the goddess since time immemorable. What happens is that in the religious books of monotheism, it makes vividly clear the overthrow of the ancient goddess mind, the women, overthrew the women, the goddess mind principle of matriarchal cultures, an event that was not easy or quick, but went on for many millennia to overthrow the goddess cultures, being carried out with a vengeance against the mother guardians. Now, I want to read this again, right? The value of our beautiful women. Now, the goddesses of the universe, the women in our families, the women in society, you know what I'm saying? As far as like certain attacks on the women that has to be defended with right knowledge to come to the rescue. For real. You know what I'm saying? I love woman. I love my mother. I love my grandmother. You know what I'm saying? My great grandmother and so on. My foremothers. The woman of the universe. You know what I'm saying? They have a place beyond what they've been representing. Y'all levels of consciousness can go much higher through the teachings, the knowledge that's here for y'all to get, but y'all gotta quit being distracted from this information. You know what I'm saying? Because my intentions is to share it with y'all, for y'all to take it into consideration, because this helped me, that helped me too. You know what I'm saying? Where my relationship with y'all be on a much more higher level beyond negative complexities. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So may these healing processes take place through us collaborating and cooperating and carrying this knowledge into practice to improve our relationships when it comes to us operating with one another spiritually. Now, this history is here though to learn from, not stay there, but to learn from, where we improve our connections. This goes on to read, what happens is that in the religious books of monotheism, it makes vividly clear the overthrow of the ancient goddess mind precept of matriarchal cultures, an event that was not easy or quick but went on for many millennia, being carried out with a vengeance against the mother guardian principle, where the so-called monotheistic patriarchs would get rid of all the so-called harlots that were in fact the female leaders of the old cultures, only to have it survive as nature willed it to be. Over and over, the massacres would take place, glorified as the so-called divine justice of a vengeful Jehovah or Allah, who declared that there should be no other gods before me, to the point where the making of idols or images of divinity became one of the central violations of the new Judeo-Christian Islamic religions. And the beautiful figures of the divine female guardians that had been fashioned since the early Neolithic era were destroyed, forbidden, and demonized. That's why in our Kemetic Egyptian culture, we revere the woman, the great mother, the goddess principle, the goddess of the universe. You know what I'm saying? So where do we get our ideas at? You know what I'm saying? With this patriarchal system of worship. Think, which is something certain forces want to interfere with your thinking, so you don't think clearly and see the reality of, dang, this is why things is the way that it is. What can I do to help better the situation? See, we solution orientated as chosen ones, gods and goddesses. Think about that. We are not the troublemakers. You know what I'm saying? Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall inherit the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of God shall be established on earth as it is in Orion. The other star constellations dealing with the extraterrestrial realities. You know what I'm saying? But this will line up with the ancient ones, the star beings, as we continue to read. But notice how the women been demonized, right? Or destroyed from the goddess principle. But the divine feminine, some sisters out here is trying to tap back into their divine feminine mind though. You know what I'm saying? Which is a good thing. During the 6,000 year period, the sacred female guardian principle and her daughters found themselves in a position of being forced into service by the new governmental hierarchies, where the original rites, rituals, and precepts of Egypt, ancient Africa, became distorted, and our mother guardian principles became degraded, and our mothers, sisters, daughters, and wives turned into prostitutes, or the symbols of prostitution. Just like right now today, a lot of these women out here, the level that they own, no matter how pretty they look in these circles, principalities, and high places, they, in some cases, are actually nothing but booty. I'm not being vulgar or anything. These are war terminologies. Like when a certain invasion take place against an enemy territory, or invaders conquer a area through like colonialism or imperialism, in the imperialistic or colonial wars, like through the Roman Vatican. What was that? The Vatican Church, through the papal Caesars, and where they wrote edicts to give certain agreements for certain forces to act out what they call what they call doctrine of discovery, where unum sanctum doctrine of discoveries, where these certain crusades was made through the Roman Catholic Church, through the Pope now, you know what I'm saying, to usurp indigenous people's lands, right? To where the women have became conquered, where the men was conquered, where that whole environment was rearranged to where the women was classified as booty as a result of being conquered during a time of a war invasion, right? To the point where, fast forward all the way up here to 2025, where in the United States of America, a lot of our women is living in what's called the image of the beast, where they love what they love with the appetites of the delicacies of the great whore that sits on many waters. Now, these biblical descriptions regarding like the prostitutes or the symbols of prostitution, they that were once virtuous virgins. Virtuous virgin. Ain't that sound sexy? A virtuous virgin. You know what I'm saying? It is not right. Look, virtuous virgins. Right? Like, and what was that? The book of Proverbs. What was talking about a virtuous woman who can find. You know what I'm saying? To the point where you got movements going on right now called men going their own way, MGTOW. Men going their own way, where they fed up and don't even want to be bothered with a lot of these women because they're nothing but prostitutes, hypergamous, solipsistic harlots that just think about themselves. They don't cook, they don't clean, they just want to party and be under the spell of their girlfriend's thoughts of just being promiscuous. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of y'all may want to, some of y'all, what have you, would agree with what I'm saying or disagree. But the truth is the truth. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to the truth, remember, only fools duck when the truth is thrown at them. But a wise man like me, I catch the truth and score a winning. And score the winning touchdown with the truth. You know what I'm saying? But for the severity of these personality traits of these women out here, you know what I'm saying, regarding the prostitutes, the harlots, they that were once virtuous virgins now belong to societies and people who force them into harlotry. Straight up actual fact right there. And that harlotry have gotten in the way of the divine mind, the divine feminine. So, regarding the cultures and the secret societies or societies that condone y'all prostitution and harlotry and lack of virtuousness, lack of virginity, you know what I'm saying? They love that energy and environment of prostitution and harlotry. They love it. So that mentality of the black woman and the rest of the collective women in the society here in America especially love to show their asses, because that's where their consciousness is at. Their consciousness and their influence is in their asses. It's in they breasts. You know what I'm saying? They sexuality, their consciousness is in their sexuality. You know what I'm saying? Which is a root chakra prison that give birth to a root chakra civilization. And what I mean that they thoughts and activities through their lust is a generator that give birth to an environment, frequency, energies, tones, and vibrations, right? That give birth to a root chakra, lustful environment, that's full of lust and desire of lust for the carnal flesh. You know what I'm saying? That is their source of fulfillment. Lustful desires and fleshly appetites. You know what I'm saying? But at the root of those fleshly appetites is the attributes of harlotry, prostitution, bitches, whores, hoeing, being hoes and whores who love to show they asses. This is the reality. Their consciousness is in their asses and the disagreeable sex forces. Now, mind you, hold on. The disagreeable sex forces, right? I was speaking on. Now, they that were once virtuous virgins now belong to societies and people who force them into harlotry within her energies and purpose were and are often still officially in the service of the service of the unconscious and unconscious men in today's world, right? So the men who interact with them on that level is on a certain unconscious level too, to where they feeding off into their lower selves, that perpetuate that root chakra civilization, right? This goes on to show the great goddess who have failed, right? Okay, it goes on to talk about even in the many cases and for many centuries where these great female mothers of Nubian Melanite heritage practiced their rites in the name of the goddess mind principle in a goddess mind, but were forced to have male priests officiate and rule over them, much like the so-called Eastern Star of today, which have a worthy patron always present in their ceremonies, when it was the other way around originally. Yet the reality remains that we as males originally could and can only become ruler by sitting on the lap of the goddess, whether Mary, Fatima, Aset, Isis, Ishtar, etc., or by lying with the priestess in the sacred marriage. The male priest replaced the female menstrual blood offerings with sacrificed animals and, in some cases, humans. Some Greco-Romans even castrated themselves and served as eunuch priests in the service of the distorted feminine, and men in the service of the distorted feminine, and men began seeing themselves in the image of the Father God, defining themselves as divine sons of that authority with unlimited sovereignty over females and children, as if a parent dealing with a child. Now, the extremity of them sick kind of perversions of men's cutting their nuts off, you know what I'm saying, to symbolize a certain religious position, to have authority over women as a god over the women is a twisted, sick for like philosophy. You know what I'm saying? Back at them times, you know what I'm saying, to where say like through trial and error, you try to perfect a certain you try to perfect a certain project. You know what I'm saying? They think they was perfecting something back then to get to the crystallized form of certain religious practices today. Like they done got perfected it without them certain extreme measures. But yet, them extreme measures that was practiced back then, you know what I'm saying, was a part of the process, which produced certain religious convictions people have today that's outside, that don't have nothing to do with the African spirituality of our people, you know what I'm saying, that didn't do them things. You know what I'm saying? As far as the spiritual systems that we perfected. So through certain invasions and wars, things got twisted, you know, rearranged, turned around to where we find ourselves today doing just that, reclaiming who we really are as a result of being enslaved. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Through these particular eras of time. So this is an alignment time for us to wake up to our true spiritual science and reality now, for us to be back in our right minds through being nine-mind qualified. Now, regarding the realities of these changes, you know what I'm saying? Regarding like how Egyptians and Sumerian realities became Bible mythology. You know what I'm saying? And we know the scriptures the monotheistic religions actually come from Egyptian stories of our ancestors, you know what I'm saying, which are African people, African spirituality, you know what I'm saying? So, in light of, for instance, I want to find something else. Hold on. I'm back. I found what I was looking for. Now, this goes on to read, right? In Greco-Roman beliefs, they cherished the subjugation and destruction of the goddess mind principle so much that they even created stories of Greco-Roman heroes killing Amazons and made this the main myth portrayed in all their artwork. When the Greek city-states were invented, Greek vase paintings rose to an elevated status, and the stories about the Olympian gods and goddesses came into being, eliminating and forcing the original earth goddess principle, Ta-Mam, into sex role stereotype pieces of her original self. The Greco-Roman Aphrodite became the reckless sweetheart. Hera became a hysterical and jealous wife of a philandering sky god. Artemis was relegated to the wilderness, and Athena was recreated as her father's daughter. Mary became wife of God and mother of his son, Jesus. Fatima became only wife of Ali and many others. So much so that women of so-called Western societies have had the original roles and abilities diminished as the feminine wholeness has been eradicated over 6,000 years. Now, we have all kind of activities, you know what I'm saying, that don't have no meaning to them. You know what I'm saying? People just engage in just recreational sex for the fun of it, with no kind of love attached to it, no kind of a meaning attached to it in a society where men and women have become so callous to where the callous men and women who come in touch with a loving soul don't know how to respond to them. You know what I'm saying? To where you have both, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Being lonely, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the day because of the lack of frequency connection. Things is not aligning right because of the out of whack mentalities of individuals who is just not relating to, you know what I'm saying, like women not relating to, or men not relating to women who is not on the goddess frequency. You know what I'm saying? They on the harlotry frequency. They on the whole frequency. They on the prostitute frequency. You know what I'm saying? They on, you know what I'm saying, the frequency of fun and games. You know what I'm saying? And usury. You know what I'm saying? And it's a result of the Greco-Roman psychological conditioning and spiritual conditioning. You know what I'm saying? To where they have raped so many minds in the world through a certain narrative of information, through certain systems of mind control, will have inculcated in the people, you know what I'm saying, is the appetites of living in the image of the beast of the scriptures that the scriptures was talking about, to where you have actual facts like this dealing with sex, minds, and slaves. You know what I'm saying? Well, we got to be careful out here, the people we encounter on a day-to-day basis, as far as us being, productive citizens or law-abiding citizens in society, with our spiritual senses being in tune with these social realities. You know what I'm saying? So this knowledge itself is highly important. Positive energy activate constant elevation. You know what I'm saying? This knowledge itself that I be enunciating about is about growth and development. You know what I'm saying? With spiritual awareness and just real news. You know what I'm saying? That's dealing with higher consciousness and things of that particular nature to help save lives, get people on the right track, get people into reading more, to connect with certain eye-opening information and information, regarding waking up from the sleep states. You know what I'm saying? And replace that with positive habits of being a living example of liberated spirituality. You know what I'm saying? Where your mind is free, in tune with pure sanity. So positive energy activate constant elevation. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to get on here and communicate with my people for a minute. You know what I'm saying? I still got more in me to keep going. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to conclude this here. You know what I'm saying? And make this, positive communication. Broaden your knowledge spectrum in areas, dealing with all areas of people activity, dealing with this universal awakening for us to be in tune, with our true spiritual science. Peace and love.